I mention my future wife's name in this video if you watch it fully. I never really believed I would talk about this out loud. You know, some things stay hidden in your heart for a long time. You feel them every day, but you keep quiet because you don't want to ruin anything. Or maybe you're scared that if you say it, it might disappear, like a dream you don't want to wake up from. But today's different. Today, I want to tell you something I've kept inside for a while, and maybe, just maybe, someone out there watching this video already knows who I'm talking about. She's not a celebrity. She's not someone with thousands of followers. She doesn't post much. Actually, she doesn't like being the center of attention. That's one of the things I love most about her. She has this soft way of entering a room. No noise, no drama. Just her gentle smile and those quiet eyes that make you feel calm, even when the world's a mess. I remember the first time I noticed her. Not because of how she looked, though yes, she's beautiful, but because she listened. Really listened. We were in a room full of people talking too loudly, trying to be funny or noticed, and she was just there, sitting slightly away from the crowd, paying attention to someone who probably wasn't used to being heard. That stuck with me. Over time, I started to notice little things about her, how she would always wait for everyone else to be served before she took a bite, how she helped others without being asked, how she would laugh at the simplest jokes, not because they were funny, but because she didn't want anyone to feel embarrassed. It wasn't a big, flashy kind of love that came over me. It was slow, steady, and honest. I didn't even realize it was happening until one day I was scrolling through my phone and saw a random photo of us standing near a coffee stall, laughing over something silly, and I just stared at that photo longer than usual. Then it hit me. That's the moment I knew. She wasn't just someone I cared about. She was the one I wanted to walk with every morning, the one I wanted to laugh with when things got hard, the one I wanted to argue with and then make peace with again, just to feel her close. People always say, "You'll know when it's real." I used to think that was just a line, but now I get it. It's not about flowers or surprises or huge romantic gestures. It's about who you want to tell your worst day to. It's about who makes you feel like your silence is still heard. It's about who makes you want to become a better version of yourself. Not because they asked you to, but because loving them makes you want to grow. Now, maybe some of you are wondering, are you going to say her name? I will. But only if you stay with me till the end. Because this story isn't about rushing. It's about moments, about the way love builds slowly, one brick at a time. And trust me, the name I'll say at the end isn't just a name. It's a promise. There was this one evening that changed everything for me. It wasn't a big event. No celebration, no music, no fancy lights. Just the two of us sitting on a small bench outside a quiet tea shop. The weather was kind, not too cold, just a light breeze passing now and then. Streetlights glowed a soft yellow, and cars passed slowly like they weren't in a rush to get anywhere. She had her hands wrapped around a warm paper cup. Her fingers, half covered by the sleeves of her sweater, were shaking just a little from the breeze. I offered her my jacket, and at first she refused like she always did. But this time, I didn't take no. I gently placed it around her shoulders. She smiled, looked down, and softly whispered, "Thank you." We didn't talk much that night, but that silence, it was the warmest kind. I looked at her, really looked at her. Not just the face I'd gotten used to seeing every day, but the person behind it, the way her eyes wandered up to the sky when she was thinking. The way she would bite the inside of her cheek when she was nervous. The way she gently touched her earring while listening, like it helped her focus better. And then, out of nowhere, she said, "Do you ever think about the future?" That question hit me like a soft punch to the chest, because I did. I always did. But I never told her that before. I never told her that in my mind, she was already part of every plan. That when I imagined where I'd be a year from now, 5 years, 10 years, she was there, laughing beside me, holding my hand, falling asleep on my shoulder. So I just nodded. She looked at me and asked, "And do I fit somewhere in it?" That moment slowed everything down. I didn't speak right away. I wanted to say the right thing, but not in some perfect, polished way. I just wanted it to be real. So I said, "Not somewhere. You are the center of it." And her eyes softened. Not wide with surprise, not filled with tears, just a quiet, peaceful glow, like she had waited a long time to hear that, and finally it made sense to her. That was the night I knew I couldn't pretend anymore. That I couldn't keep this hidden in my chest, like it was some small crush I was too scared to admit. It was real. It was deep. and it deserved to be spoken, shared, shown. From that day on, I started doing little things. I began saving screenshots of our conversations, even the random ones. I started writing notes to myself after seeing her, like, her smile today could fix anything. I even told my closest friend, she's the one, man, I just know it. But I still never told her all of it. Not yet. Because something inside me was waiting for the right moment. The one where I could say it without hesitation, where it would land right in the middle of her heart and stay there. And maybe, just maybe, this video is that moment. After that night on the bench, something inside me changed. I wasn't just thinking about the future. I was walking toward it, step by step. And with each step, I felt her name growing heavier in my heart, in the best way possible. I started doing small things that nobody really noticed, but they meant everything to me. I began setting little reminders in my phone. Send her flowers, ask how her day was, and really listen. Don't let her feel alone, not even once. I wanted to show her, not just say it. I wanted her to feel it in how I looked at her, how I spoke to her, how I stayed close even on her silent days. At the same time, I was preparing the people around me, especially my family. It wasn't easy. See, my father, he's a quiet man, the kind who doesn't show too much emotion, who believes in actions more than words. For a long time, I wasn't sure how he would react. Not because she did anything wrong, never. But because when you bring someone close to your heart, you're also trusting your world to accept them. I didn't want anyone to just tolerate her. I wanted them to love her, just like I did, so I started slow. One evening, while sitting with my father, I said, "I've been seeing someone." He looked at me and simply nodded. I waited a second, then added, "She's kind. She makes me better without even trying." Still no big reaction, just another quiet nod. But then, after a pause, he asked, "She make you feel steady, like your feet are on the ground?" And I smiled. Exactly that. He didn't say anything after that. He just sipped his tea and gave this half smile, the kind that said more than words. I didn't push. I didn't have to. Later, I showed him a picture of her. Not some fancy photo, just one where she was laughing, her hand halfway covering her face like she didn't want the camera to catch her. He took the phone, stared for a moment, and handed it back. Then finally, he said something that made my chest feel warm. "She's got peace in her eyes. That's rare." That moment told me everything. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was worried, but because I was excited. Because now, this wasn't just my secret anymore. She was slowly becoming part of my world, and my world was starting to make space for her. The next few weeks were filled with planning. Not big, loud plans, just quiet moves. I asked her favorite color without being obvious. I took note of her favorite food, the way she liked her coffee, the kind of music that made her sway a little when no one was watching. I didn't tell her why, because in my heart, I was already building a life around her, piece by piece. And every time I looked at her photo saved on my phone, I whispered softly, "Soon, they'll all know. They'll know who holds my heart." I kept playing her laughter in my head like a quiet song. It didn't matter where I was, driving, sitting alone, walking through a store. It was always there. That soft laugh, the way her voice lifted at the end of a sentence, like she was handing me something precious without making a big deal out of it. The more I listened to it in my mind, the more I realized how deeply I was falling. But still, I hadn't said her name in public, not once. I kept her in my heart like something fragile, not out of shame, but out of protection. I didn't want her to be misunderstood or judged by people who didn't even know her soul. I was waiting for the right time. That time started to come one afternoon. I was invited to speak at a gathering, nothing too big. Just friends, family, and some people from the community. They wanted me to talk about love, of all things. At first, I laughed it off. Me? Talk about love? But then I thought about her. I thought about how she made the ordinary feel important, how she never tried to impress anyone, but somehow impressed me every day. And I thought, maybe this was the moment. So I said yes. When the day came, my palms were sweating. My heart felt like it was pounding against my ribs, asking me, "You sure you want to do this?" I looked out at the people seated there, listening quietly, waiting. And then I looked down at the small note I'd written earlier that morning. Just one sentence was written on it. Her name. That was all. I took a deep breath, and I started talking. I didn't use big words. I didn't tell a perfect love story. I just told the truth. I said, sometimes love doesn't show up like fireworks. Sometimes it walks in softly, sits beside you, and asks how your day was. And it stays. It stays when you're quiet. It stays when you're messy. It stays when you're unsure. I paused, looked up. My chest was full of emotion, but my voice stayed steady. Then I said it. I want to tell you her name today. Not because I need to, but because I want the world to know the name of the woman who gave my heart a home, and I said it out loud. The moment I did, it felt like something shifted in the air around me, like I had finally let go of a secret I was never meant to carry alone. Some people smiled, a few clapped gently. My father, sitting at the back, gave a slow, proud nod. But the most important thing was what I felt inside. Relief, peace, joy. Because now it wasn't just between me and her. It was real, it was open, and it was shared. After the gathering ended, a few people came up to me. They didn't say much, just simple things like, "She must be special," or "That was honest, thank you." But the best part? I knew she'd hear about it. Even if she wasn't there that day, I knew someone would tell her that I said her name, that I chose her, in front of everyone. And deep down, I hoped she'd smile the way she does when she's quietly proud. I hoped she'd feel how much I meant it. Because this wasn't just about love anymore. It was about making her feel seen. Not just in private, but in the wide open world too.